COP. 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 I'm at COP. COP26, COP. I'm in Glasgow, COP, you know, it's like a trade show for multinationals to pretend how green they are. Yeah, I had to do it. Everyone else in the office has got COVID, or something better to be doing, as have I, frankly. But I flew up. Yeah, I flew up. Yeah, Scotland, which should be fun. You know, Glasgow, it's a party town. You know, everyone's here. Obama's here. The leaders of the free world are here. Greta. You know, climate change doesn't get sexier than this. Not that I'm saying Greta is sexy, or Obama. Actually, Obama, who wouldn't? Oh, here we are. Right, let's do it. So what is climate change? So what is climate change? Really? What is this, news round? I'm Jonathan Pye, I'm not John Craven. What is climate change? Cars burn oil, guff CO2 out their a-holes, planet heats up, ice caps melt, sea levels rise, Bangladesh drowns. The end. What? Yeah, okay, some flooding in the UK. Only the nice bits, Tim. I live in Shadwell. It's fine. You know who gets flooded in this country? Posh people with converted basements. Oh no, the games room's fucked. Fuck 'em. I live on the 5th floor and I don't own a car. Yes, she got custody of that as well. Yeah, okay. COP26 Glasgow. Some are calling it our last best hope for a solution to the climate crisis.
I'm delighted to welcome you all to the 26th United Nations Climate Change Conference. I, for one, hope that this conference will be one of those rare occasions where everyone will have the chance to rise above the politics of the moment and achieve true statesmanship.
Perhaps that will give us the impetus we need to rewrite our story, to turn this tragedy into a triumph. We are, after all, the greatest problem solvers to have ever existed on Earth.
Mr. Kerry, just one question. Over here. Fuck. It's a bomb. Quick. Prime Minister Modi, just one question.
Prime Minister.
Come on. I've been here for 3.5 hours and I haven't managed to ask anyone a single question, not a single interview, Tim. I'm expecting a big, important interview out of this. Okay, who have you got? Joining me now is Ed Miliband. Sorry, I'm going to try and do that again with a bit more enthusiasm.
I thought I was getting Wolf Blitzer from CNN, so how do you think I'm feeling?
Yeah. All right, so neither of us are in the interview that we wanted, okay?
I mean, like, what happened here?
Okay, let's go.
Tobias, are you listening?
You were Secretary of State for Climate Change under Gordon Brown, a position which was terminated by the Tories when they came in. You led our negotiations at the Copenhagen Climate Summit in 2009. You are shadow president of COP, is that correct?
Yeah, I try not to use the shadow president thing. It sounds a bit pretentious.
It's a bit weird, isn't it?
You know what I mean? Nobody's called me shadow president, you know.
No, it is. It sounds like a villain from Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So this is COP26. So presumably there's been 25 COPs. Emissions are still rising. Global temperatures are still rising. So it's done nothing. so far?
I don't think it's true to say that it's done nothing. The key thing to have in your mind is we've got to halve global emissions this decade. So, you know, emissions have been rising and rising and rising, as you say, and we've got to halve them this decade.
But when Paris ended, that seemed like a real, like we're really on the right track. And yet, 5 years on or whatever, we're here, it doesn't feel like...
Even Paris was both a great step forward, but also didn't do enough either, because the world said we want to keep going well below 2 degrees and make efforts to 1.5. But the problem is the pledges from the individual countries added up to 3 degrees of warming.
And those pledges haven't been met either.
Well, you mean in terms of our countries doing what they say? Some
Yes.
countries are and some countries aren't. The thing you're fighting against here is, you know, Greta Thunberg's very eloquent characterization of blah, blah, blah. And it's going to be up to us all to show it's not blah, blah, blah.
Do you share her view that this is all one big greenwash?
There's no doubt there's like gallons of greenwash here, billions of gallons of greenwash, but there's also real action from cities, from some governments, from some businesses. You know, the world is moving. And I think it's really important to say the world is moving. It's just with nothing like the sense of urgency or emergency that is required.
Let's say we're in an alternate universe. Let's say you didn't eat that bacon sandwich.
It would have all been completely different.
Let's imagine
it would
you
all
were
have been,
Prime Minister.
It would have been chaos.
What would you have done differently at this COP than Boris Johnson?
2 years ago, what he should have done is said, the first thing we've got to do, well in advance of this summit, is deliver the promise made in Copenhagen of $100 billion of finance for developing countries. The fact that in the final hours we're still arguing about this blasted $100 billion shows that we haven't done the work.
We do welcome the draft text calling for the phase-out of coal and fossil fuel subsidies. This is the first time we've seen tangible movement, with specific reference made to two of the greatest drivers of warming.
Sub-Saharan Africans are responsible for just 0.5% of historical emissions. The children are responsible for none.
The difference between 1.5 and 2 degrees is a death sentence for us.
The children of the Asia-Pacific region will not have enough to eat because the warming waters of the Pacific won't be able to sustain the sea life. The children of the Middle East won't be able to breathe the hot desert air.
I, too, am a grandfather of 3. Responding to climate change is critical to the survival of humanity. It is not and should never be linked to our political survival in the next elections.
Thank you, Prime Minister. On forests, do you really believe that the President of Brazil will follow through on the pledges he made?
So financial institutions worth trillions and trillions of pounds will not be supporting deforestation. And the pressure comes from consumers around the world.
What essentially Boris Johnson was saying is that whilst this deforestation pledge isn't legally binding, it's ultimately the consumer who will be putting pressure on governments and businesses to ensure that they meet their climate pledges. No, that's not right. It's not up to me to write a strongly worded email to my local Tesco Metro to ask them to stop selling products of palm oil from palm trees that stand in a place formerly known as the Brazilian rainforest. That's international trading standards responsibility, palm oil. And so, you know, palm oil that goes in my fucking shampoo and conditioner and my peanut butter and my toothpaste and my butter substitute whilst decimating the natural habitat of some long-forgotten monkey. Oh, well, people won't stand for not having palm oil in their shampoo and conditioner. I would. I don't want shit in my hair that means a monkey lost its tree. I don't want a low-fat alternative to butter on my toast if it means 4 species of frog were extinguished out of existence. And if it did, I want to know about it before I buy it. This killed a frog, clearly on the package. That's what they're all here for. It's not up to me. Point. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Cheers. Are you part of this climate club thing then?
Well, me? Yeah, well, sort of, yeah.
Are you sort of into all that sort of thing, are you?
Yeah, no, I'm into it.
Recycling and all that sort of thing, isn't it? Really? It's a bit dull, isn't it? Really? So if you're the sort of person that would probably know if your toothpaste kills monkeys. Whereas I don't know. I don't know what sort of thing I'm supposed to be. You know, I'm supposed to be recycling. I know that. No plastic straws. I know that. Cotton buds are out, and you know my ears are filthy, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Is micro-consumerist bollocks, really?
Exactly. Micro what?
Micro-consumerist bollocks. That is the official term for, like, sweating the small stuff. Because we're completely focused on that micro stuff, we're missing the bigger picture. I mean, look, we're facing systemic environmental collapse here. I mean, the collapse of our life support systems. Everything, in other words, everything. All your hopes, all your dreams, everything you love, everything you hate, everything you fear, all your ambitions, the whole lot is just dust if we don't sort this out. And it's a systemic problem. It's being caused by these massive systemic economic forces, political forces. It's caused by the fossil fuel industry, by the banks, by the way governments operate. And here we are, responding to this thing, the biggest challenge, the biggest crisis that humanity has ever faced, by saying, oh yeah, let's change our cotton buds.
So, am I gonna die?
Yes.
No, but I mean, is this gonna kill me? Me?
Yeah, probably. If the planetary system flips, you know, as it's done before in the past, when it's been pushed by greenhouse gases too far, it's flipped, previous mass extinctions. If you're still alive then, yeah, it's almost certain to kill you. If things don't change drastically and suddenly, I'll see it. I'm 58 and I think I'll see it. To be honest, I couldn't give a shit about us, not really. What I care about is our children, our grandchildren, all the, you know, it's like, you know, what the people who are teenagers today, you know, they know what's coming. They know better than the adults know. And they're the ones whose lives are going to be truncated.
Okay, hang on. Let me just get my head around this. Is this whole COP thing a complete and utter waste of fucking time?
There's 26th COP, right? 26th of these things, and not once have they seriously discussed the only thing which really counts, which is leaving fossil fuels in the ground. Not once.
Is there any hope?
Well, it's sort of the wrong question. You know, we can't just hope like we sort of wish upon a star and hope that it'll all come right. That we have to act. You know, the only chance of pulling ourselves out of this planetary death spiral is getting together in massive numbers and making it impossible for governments not to act.
Shit, I've got to go. I've got to fucking go. Nice to chat to you. What's your name?
George.
George, nice to meet you, George. Listen, I'll see you again. I've got to go. At what point am I going to be stood here, looking down the barrel of this lens, reading this auto cue, reading whatever crap it is you tell me to say, reading the news? Good evening. Earlier today, the last fish was caught. That's it. There's no more. There's no more fish. That was the last one. Now let's go to a live link and watch Jeff Bezos eat it. You know, at what point am I going to be stood here reporting, it's done, it's pointless. You can chop them all down if you want. You can just start, you can just go shit directly in the river if you want. It's all fucked. Won't make any difference if you do or you don't. Save yourself the bother of flushing. Fill your boots. Fuck the frogs. Fuck the frogs. You can literally fuck the frogs, if you like, if you can find one. You can just start feeding your dog fucking plastic now. It's fucking over. At what point will I be stood here saying that? Because that moment seems not very far away. Yeah. Joining me now is the UK's only Green MP, Caroline Lucas. COP26, how has it been going?
It's been going really badly. We know we're supposed to be staying below 1.5 degrees of heating. If you add up the commitments that have been made so far, we're on track for 2.4 degrees of heating. That spells death for a hell of a lot of people. We know the poorer countries need money, and the money hasn't been forthcoming.
We're the hosts here. Clearly, there's a sort of diplomatic responsibility there.
There certainly is.
Boris failed in that respect?
He has completely failed in that respect. He should have been showing leadership. That means not going ahead in the UK with a new oil field at Cambo. That means not cutting our own aid budget by £4 billion a year. What kind of credibility and authority do we have to lecture other countries about not giving enough money?
Do you think 1.5 is achievable?
We are talking about the livability of this planet for ourselves, our children and their children. And we cannot look them in the eye and say, oh, I'm really sorry, we didn't just quite work how to do it. Of course it can be done. What's lacking is the political will. And that's what makes this meeting so important, but also so frustrating right now.
Thank you very much. Caroline Lucas of the Green Party. Now, back to the studio. Thanks for that. That was great. That was great. Thank you. All good?
Not good. I'm not quite sure that you've really got how serious this is. I just feel so bloody angry. You know, I'm angry at you, the media. You're covering this now.
I didn't do anything.
But in a couple of weeks' time, you'll have moved on to something else and your attention will be gone. I am angry with the politicians who have this key moment to draw us back from the cliff edge. And instead of that, they're pissing about, arguing about whether or not they should urge countries to do things or request countries to do things. And I am angry because people are dying right now as a result of the inaction of people here in summits like this. So my God, yes, it is far, far worse than you think.
I now invite the COP to adopt the decision entitled Glasgow Climate Pact, contained in document FCCC/2021/L13. I see China is seeking an intervention. I see India wishes to take the floor. India, you have the floor.
Tim, if the government can make people scared of a virus, scared for their health, scared to death, of death, so that entire nations are afraid to step outside their door, then you can make people afraid of an oncoming catastrophic climate failure which will extinguish almost every member of every species on this planet, including our own. If it's that easy to get entire nations to pay their citizens to stay at home for a year, sit in their pants watching Tiger King and learn how to bake soda bread and learn to hate their children and pay them to do it, then yes, you can stop subsidising carbon emitters. You can persuade half the nation to cut their meat intake by half. Oh, people won't stand for less meat in their diet. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. If we can spend trillions bailing out banks from their own greed and mistakes, trillions subsidising the banking industry with taxpayers' money, then they can subsidise the fishing industry to stop catching so much fish. They can subsidise farmers to not tear down the rainforest. They can stop subsidising fossil fuels to the tune of $11 million a minute. They can stop that today. They can do it right now. That's what they came here to do.
I wish to read into the record our profound disappointment
that the language that we have agreed on coal and fossil fuel subsidies has been further watered down. We do not need to phase down, but to phase out coal and fossil fuel subsidies.
We'd like to express, of course, not just our astonishment, but our immense disappointment in the manner in which this has been introduced.
We all have remaining concerns, but we're told we could not reopen the text. Mexico, for example, believes the language on human rights should have been strengthened and are very, very disappointed that such demands were not heard, while others can still ask to water down our promises.
The text represents the least worst outcome. The worst outcome would be to not agree it and to keep talking through next year and deter action for yet another year.
I also understand the deep disappointment. But I think, as you have noted, it's also vital that we protect this package.
Yeah, yes, yeah, I'm ready, yeah. Yeah, keep it upbeat, yeah. Well, negotiations went on to the small hours and an agreement has been reached. A massive global effort, a triumph of international diplomacy. The truth, of course, is that very little of this actually matters. Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing your question there. I can't quite hear the question, but what happened today could be described as a catastrophic failure of international diplomacy. Yes, there were a few platitudes and dozens of promises that no one has to keep because they never do. We will continue to pollute our skies and oceans past the edge of mass extinction. We are not going to incentivize Brazil or Indonesia in any real, meaningful way to stop chopping down the rainforest so that we can have nice hair conditioner. And when it comes to fossil fuels, business is booming. We are staring down the barrel of a catastrophic 2.4-degree increase in global temperatures. And whilst countries are scrambling to tell us what a huge success this COP summit was, there's a feeling here that this was a missed opportunity. One wonders how many more missed opportunities this planet can take. Time will tell. Jonathan Pye, COP26. Glasgow. Sorry, Tim, it was the auto cue. The auto cue went and I lost my earpiece. I just had to wing it.